When the lights dim. The crisis began with a flicker. Daniel was reviewing communication logs when the lights in his apartment dimmed for just a second. Then again. Through his window, he watched sections of the city blink like dying stars. His work terminal chimed with an emergency alert, power fluctuations across the entire colonial grid. Within an hour, the situation escalated. The colony's central power distribution system was failing, and no one could determine why. Daniel joined the emergency response team at the operations center, where dozens of engineers crowded around holographic displays showing cascading system failures. "It's not mechanical," someone was saying. "The generators are fine. It's the distribution network itself, like something's draining power faster than we can route it." Daniel studied the patterns, his mind racing. The fluctuations weren't random. There was a rhythm to them, almost like, "It's the planet." Thea's voice cut through the chaos. She stood at the edge of the room, her tablet displaying astronomical data. Valaris 9's electromagnetic field is destabilizing. It's been building for weeks, but I thought it was just solar activity. The room went quiet. The lead engineer, a gruff man named Torvin, turned to her. "Explain." Thea projected her data into the main display. The 3 moons create tidal forces on the planet's core. Usually they're balanced, but the alignment is shifting. The electromagnetic interference is disrupting all our power systems. She highlighted cascading numbers. If it continues, we'll lose life support in the Mistral residential sectors within 72 hours. Daniel's blood went cold. The tower. Everyone he'd come to care about. Can we shield against it? Torvin demanded. Not with current technology. We'd need to predict the electromagnetic patterns precisely enough to route power around the interference zones. Thea's voice was steady, but Daniel could see the tension in her shoulders. It would require real-time stellar mapping correlated with power grid management. "That's impossible," another engineer said. "Those are completely different systems." "Not if you have someone who understands both." Kira pushed through the crowd, her face smudged with soot from working on the solar arrays. She looked at Thea, then at Daniel. "We need stellar prediction and communication routing. That's cartography and systems engineering." The implication hung in the air. Daniel felt everyone's eyes turn to him and Thea. "We'd need direct access to the main power hub," Thea said slowly. "And the central observatory. 2 different locations, working in perfect synchronization." "I can manage the power routing from here," Kira said quickly. "But I need constant updates on the electromagnetic patterns to know where to divert power. Someone has to be at the observatory reading the data." Daniel understood immediately. Thea at the observatory, reading the stars. Him at the power hub, routing communications and power. Kira managing the actual energy distribution. 3 people, 3 locations, 1 chance. But if the synchronization is off by even seconds, the whole grid could collapse, Torvin warned. "You'd be gambling with thousands of lives." "We're already gambling," Daniel said. "At least this way we're playing to win." The decision was made. Within 30 minutes, Daniel was in the power hub's control room, surrounded by screens showing every power line and relay in the colony. Kira worked 3 floors below in the generator core. And Thea was alone in the observatory on the far side of the city. Daniel activated his communication link. "Thea, are you in position?" "Yes." Her voice was calm through the static. "Beginning stellar analysis now. The electromagnetic surge will hit Sector 7 first, in approximately 4 minutes. Kira, can you reroute power from Sector 7 to the emergency grid?" "Already on it," Kira's voice crackled back. "But I need constant updates. This thing is moving too fast." And so it began. Thea called out predictions based on the movements of the 3 moons and the planet's electromagnetic field. Daniel translated those into routing commands, redirecting power through communication lines that could handle the interference. Kira executed the changes, her hands flying across controls as she juggled massive power loads. Hours blurred together. Daniel's eyes burned from staring at screens, his fingers cramped from constant typing. But they found a rhythm, Thea's voice steady in his ear, calling out patterns in the stars. Kira's quick confirmations as power flowed where it needed to go. Surge in Sector 12, 40 seconds, Thea announced. Daniel was already routing. Kira, I need you to dump the residential overflow into the industrial backup. On it. But we're running out of backup capacity. How much longer? The peak alignment is in 6 hours, Thea said. After that, the interference will decrease. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. Daniel wiped sweat from his forehead. 6 more hours. His whole body ached, but he pushed the discomfort aside. Lives depended on this. Daniel. Thea's voice softened slightly. I need you to trust my readings completely. The next phase will require routing power in ways that look dangerous on your screens. The safety margins will appear critically low. How low? A pause. Below recommended operational parameters. That's not an answer, Thea. 3% above critical failure, she admitted. But the electromagnetic patterns are clear. It will work. Daniel's hands hovered over the controls. 3%. That was nothing. One miscalculation and the entire grid could explode, taking half the city with it. But he thought of Thea's precision. Her careful notes. The way she saw patterns no one else could see. The quiet certainty in her voice. Kira, he called. Can you handle those margins? If Thea says it will work, I trust her. Kira's voice was strained but firm. Do you? Daniel closed his eyes for just a moment. He thought of Thea on the dance floor, admitting she'd come to the festival to see him. Her hand almost touching his chest. The resonance she'd talked about under the 3 moons. Yes, he said. I trust her. Completely. Then let's do this, Kira said. Together. The next hours were the longest of Daniel's life. He routed power along knife-edge margins, watching readouts climb into red zones and trusting Thea's voice in his ear to guide him back. Kira performed miracles in the generator core, balancing loads that should have been impossible. And through it all, Thea read the stars. Her voice never wavered, never doubted. She called out patterns and predictions with absolute confidence, and Daniel followed every one. Finally, as the 3 moons reached their peak alignment and the city held its breath, the interference began to wane. Power stabilized. Systems came back online. The crisis had passed. Daniel sagged in his chair, exhausted beyond words. Through the window, he could see lights returning to the city, section by section. They'd done it. All sectors stable, Kira reported, her voice thick with exhaustion. Life support at full capacity. We did it. We actually did it. Thea. Daniel called. You still with us? Silence. Then, yes. I'm here. Her voice sounded strange. The observatory is. The interference damaged the systems here. Nothing critical, but I'm trapped until they can restore the lift. How long? Daniel was already standing. Could be hours. The backup power is routing to essential systems first. Stay there. I'm coming to get you. Daniel, you don't have to. I'm coming, he said firmly. You trusted me with the grid. Now trust me with this. He was already running. A new home, a true heart. The observatory sat on a high plateau outside the main city, accessible only by a magnetic lift that was currently dead. Daniel commandeered a ground transport, pushing it faster than was safe along the winding road. His body screamed for rest, but something drove him forward, the memory of Thea's voice, calm and certain, guiding him through the crisis. The trust she'd placed in him. The trust he'd placed in her. The observatory doors were sealed, but Daniel used his emergency engineering override to manually crank them open. Inside, the vast domed chamber was dark except for emergency lighting. Thea sat at her workstation, surrounded by star charts and data streams, looking small and tired. You didn't have to come, she said, but her eyes betrayed her relief. Yes, I did. Daniel crossed to her, and without thinking, pulled her into a hug. She stiffened for a moment, then relaxed against him, her forehead resting on his shoulder. "I can feel everything about you right now," she whispered. "Your exhaustion. Your relief. Your—" She pulled back slightly, looking up at him. "Daniel, I need to tell you something. During the crisis, staying connected to you through the communication link for so many hours, I've never maintained that kind of resonance with anyone. Even Maeve." "What does that mean?" "It means I wasn't just reading the stars. I was reading you too. Every decision you made, I could feel you trusting me, following my guidance even when it seemed impossible." Thea's hands rested on his chest. That kind of trust, that connection, it doesn't come from attraction or chemistry. It comes from something deeper. Daniel covered her hands with his. "I know. I'm not like Kira. I can't offer you excitement or passion or grand adventures. I'm quiet and careful, and I'll always choose stability over risk." "I know that too." "Then you should also know," Thea's voice caught. "I'm falling in love with you. Slowly, carefully, the only way I know how. And it terrifies me because I thought I'd never let myself feel this again." Daniel cupped her face gently, seeing his own feelings reflected in her eyes. "I came to Valaris 9 thinking I'd be alone. Then I met 2 incredible women who showed me different kinds of light. Kira taught me to be brave, to take chances. She helped me see possibilities I'd been too afraid to imagine." Thea started to pull away, but Daniel held her gently in place. "But you," he continued softly, "you showed me something else. You showed me that being careful isn't the same as being afraid. That quiet strength matters. That sometimes the deepest connections happen in silence, in trust, in understanding without words." He smiled. "I'm not a brave person, Thea. I'm not adventurous or bold. I'm someone who needs to know the patterns, who finds comfort in understanding. Just like you." "You're choosing me," Thea said, and it wasn't quite a question. "I'm choosing us," Daniel corrected. "If you'll have me." She kissed him then, soft and deliberate, a kiss that felt like coming home after a long journey. When they parted, tears tracked down her cheeks, but she was smiling. "We should get back," she said. "People will be worried. And you need to talk to Kira." The transport ride back was quiet, Thea's hand in his. Daniel dreaded the conversation ahead, but he knew it had to happen. He found Kira on the tower rooftop, watching the triple sunrise paint the sky in impossible colors. She turned when she heard him approach, and he saw in her expression that she already knew. "You chose her," Kira said. It wasn't accusing, just stating fact. "Kira, I don't apologize." Kira held up a hand. "I could feel it during the crisis. The way you two worked together. It was like watching 2 stars orbit each other, perfectly balanced, perfectly matched." She smiled, though it was edged with sadness. "I told you I grab onto good things, Daniel. But I also know when to let go. You're an amazing person. In another life. In another life, maybe. But not this one." Kira stepped closer and hugged him tightly. "You made me remember what it felt like to hope for something again. That's a gift, even if it didn't end the way I wanted." She pulled back, her gold-flecked eyes serious. "Be good to her. She's more fragile than she seems." "I will. And don't be a stranger. We saved a city together. That makes us family, whatever else happens." Daniel felt his throat tighten. "Thank you. For everything." Kira grinned, some of her usual brightness returning. "Besides, I've already got 3 other people interested in me. Turns out being a hero is very attractive." She winked. "I'll be fine, Daniel Cross. We both will." The weeks that followed were a study in adjustment. The colony installed new systems to handle electromagnetic interference, using the data from the crisis. Daniel and Thea's joint paper on integrated stellar power management became required reading for colonial engineers. Kira threw herself into her work and, true to her word, began dating a solar physicist who matched her energy beautifully. Daniel and Thea took things slowly, learning each other's rhythms. They spent evenings on his apartment balcony, Thea teaching him to read the stars while he told her stories about Earth. She was reserved in public but surprisingly playful in private, her dry humor catching him off guard. Their first real date was a quiet dinner at a small restaurant, where they barely noticed the food, too absorbed in conversation. One night, 3 months after the crisis, they lay together in Thea's apartment, her head on his chest as he traced patterns on her arm. "Can you still feel it?" Daniel asked. "The resonance." "Always." Thea's fingers drew idle circles on his skin. "But it's changed. Deeper now. More settled. Like 2 stars that have locked into stable orbit." "Is that good?" "It's everything." She propped herself up to look at him. "I spent so long after Maeve died thinking I'd never connect with anyone again. That I was too broken, too afraid. Then you arrived, this quiet, nervous human who didn't belong here, and somehow you understood me better than people I'd known for years." "I didn't belong," Daniel said. Past tense. "This is home now. You're home." Thea kissed him softly. "The signal we found, they've approved a research mission. I'm leading it. 3-month journey to investigate the source." Daniel's heart clenched. 3 months. "Come with me." The words tumbled out of Thea in a rush. "They need a communications specialist, and you're qualified. We could do this together, map unknown space, maybe find something incredible. I know it's asking a lot." "Yes," Daniel interrupted. "You don't have to decide right now. Think about, wait, yes." Daniel laughed. "Yes. Absolutely yes. I came 23 light-years from Earth for a job. I'll go anywhere in the universe if it means being with you." Thea's smile was radiant, brighter than he'd ever seen. "Then we'll go together. Map the unknown. 2 careful people taking the biggest risk of our lives." "Together," Daniel agreed. Months later, as their research vessel prepared to depart, Daniel stood at the observation window watching Valaris 9 recede into the distance. Kira had come to see them off, along with dozens of friends from the tower. The Mistral community had adopted him completely, and leaving them was bittersweet. But Thea stood beside him, her hand in his, and he felt nothing but certainty. "Nervous?" she asked. "Terrified," he admitted. "But that's okay. Fear means it matters." Very philosophical for someone who fixes communication arrays. Daniel pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her temple. "I learned from the best stellar cartographer in the sector." Through the window, the 3 moons of Valaris 9 aligned one final time, creating a perfect geometric pattern against the planet's orange atmosphere. Thea pulled up her tablet, already mapping their course into the unknown. "Ready to find something incredible?" she asked. Daniel looked at the woman beside him, brilliant, careful, loving in her own quiet way. He thought about the journey that had brought him here, the choices he'd made, the connections he'd forged. "I already did," he said. Thea smiled and leaned into him as their ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying them toward mysteries yet undiscovered. Behind them, Valaris 9 and all its lights faded into memory. Ahead lay nothing but stars and possibility. And between them, a resonance that would last across any distance, through any darkness. 2 careful souls who'd found the courage to trust in something greater than themselves. They'd found each other. And that was the greatest discovery of all. The end.